Death, inevitable, unchanging, and the fate we all must face. But have you ever wondered, why does death exist? If nature is a perfect system, why do we age and die? Why hasn't evolution found a way to make us live forever? Or is death not a mistake, but rather a deliberate choice by nature? Since the dawn of humanity, we have been chasing immortality. Ancient kings, philosophers, scientists, they all tried to defeat death, to stop time. And today this pursuit continues. Genetic engineering, consciousness transfer, efforts to halt biological aging. But what if we're asking the wrong question? What if, instead of escaping death, we should be understanding why it exists? Perhaps there are creatures in nature that do not age, do not die, and have conquered time. Maybe instead of running from death, we should be seeking to understand its purpose. Today we question the meaning of death, from creatures that defy immortality to the inevitable fate shaped by evolution, from the role of death in nature to humanity's attempts to overcome it. Are you ready for this journey? Then let's begin. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. Your support means a lot to me. Welcome to my channel, Discovery of the Mystery, where we will uncover the secrets. The oceans are filled with creatures that seem as if they don't belong to this world. When we examine the most striking ones, we focus on those with terrifying appearances, unusual shapes, or the ability to glow. But some creatures truly astonish us with the unique traits they possess. Imagine if a living organism could truly be immortal. You tear it apart, yet it does not die. You cut it, but every fragment regenerates into a new individual. This is not a myth. This is not a science fiction story. Hydras are one of nature's secrets that defy death. Named after the Hydra from Greek mythology, a multi-headed beast believed to guard the gateway between the world of the living and the dead in the swamps of Lerna, these creatures are the freshwater relatives of jellyfish. Small and delicate, resembling dandelions, they possess an incredible trait. They do not age. In a way, they are technically immortal. Even if you take a Hydra and cut it into pieces, each piece will regenerate into a new Hydra. Strange? Fantastic, but true. This fact has fascinated humanity for centuries, as people have long dreamed of immortality. At the very least, escaping death from natural causes. Stopping aging, for instance. If these creatures can do it, why can't we? And is death something that can truly be prevented? As John Donne wrote in his 10th sonnet, can we kill death itself? Let's find out. Aging. We have no choice but to accept it. We grow old and we will continue to grow old. Like the more than 100 billion people who live before us, we will all face the inevitable end. But what does it really mean to age? In the mid-20th century, aging was defined as the accumulation of a series of damages occurring at the molecular and cellular levels. Based on this, we can summarize the life cycle as follows. In infancy, our resources are spent on growth, staying healthy, and cell maintenance. During childhood and adolescence, the focus shifts to survival, strengthening, and maintaining health. Once we reach reproductive age, the priority becomes reproduction, as resources are limited for many organisms. In fact, we allocate these limited resources to reproduction and having offspring, sometimes at the cost of our health and even our lives. The most extreme example of this can be seen in salmon. Salmon undertake one of the most challenging migrations in the world. They swim upstream against the current. During this process, their bodies undergo dramatic transformations, experiencing metamorphosis and rapid mutations. Most do not survive this journey, and ultimately, when they reach their breeding grounds, what happens? They die. For a salmon, returning from this journey is almost impossible. It is a one-way path, a journey undertaken with the knowledge that death awaits at the end. From this perspective, the answer to the question, why do we die, could be so that new generations can be born. This definition of death could be framed as an act of sacrifice and selflessness. Is death a mistake? Why has nature condemned us to die? In reality, death is one of the most crucial strategies for the continuation of species. Think about it. If a species were made up entirely of individuals that live forever, How would new generations survive? How would they adapt to the world? This is why nature has established a balance. Aging is a way of preparing for death. Our genes keep us strong and healthy until reproductive age. But after that, once keeping us alive no longer provides an evolutionary advantage, evolution begins to disregard us. Some mutations occur due to external factors such as diet and ultraviolet radiation. However, the vast majority of these mutations are either neutral or harmless. Very few have any beneficial effects. Before reproductive age, any mutation that reduces an organism's ability to reproduce or threatens its survival is eliminated through natural selection. However, once an organism reaches reproductive age, the influence of natural selection begins to weaken. Returning to the example of salmon, we see that they reach adulthood and reproductive age in an incredibly strong state. If a mutation had occurred that allowed a salmon to live longer after reproduction, giving it an additional year of life, it would not provide a significant advantage to its offspring over the others. From the perspective of natural selection, staying healthy after reproduction offers little benefit. Once you reproduce, you have essentially fulfilled your mission, and there is not much left for you to contribute to future generations. However, while the salmon example may seem extreme, there are species in which this one-time reproduction suicide process works differently. Some species go through multiple reproductive cycles. In such cases, the lifespan of these organisms tends to be longer because the more offspring they produce, the greater the chance of the species surviving. However, as mentioned earlier, most mutations in our DNA are either neutral or harmful. While our bodies have the ability to repair some DNA damage, this ability declines with age. This results in aging and death occurring through two primary mechanisms: the accumulation of harmful mutations due to the weakening of natural selection, and mutations that enhance reproduction but shorten lifespan. For example, BRCA gene mutations. These mutations significantly increase the risk of breast and ovarian cancer. However, studies have also found that women carrying these mutations tend to have higher fertility rates. While this provides a reproductive advantage at a young age, it leads to serious health risks later in life. Another example is cellular senescence, or cell aging. This mechanism prevents damaged DNA from replicating at an early age, protecting us from cancer. However, as we grow older, senescent cells accumulate in tissues, leading to inflammation, which is a key factor behind many age-related diseases. Ultimately, in evolutionary terms, there is a clear boundary in nature that determines the onset of aging. Reproduction. For salmon, flies, and similar species, reproduction is a one-time mission. They survive until reproductive age, lay as many eggs as possible when the time comes, and then die. For species like tigers and dolphins, this process takes much longer. Their offspring need to be fed, protected, and taught how to survive on their own before they can function independently. But what about humans? Why do we live longer than most other species? Perhaps for humans, survival is not just about physical strength. Have you ever wondered why grandmothers exist? Most animal species die shortly after losing their ability to reproduce. But humans are different. We don't just raise our own children, we also help raise their children. Our experiences, knowledge, and protection mean that the survival of humans is not just about individuals, but about generations. From an evolutionary perspective, if a mother's own mother helps care for her child, the likelihood of that child surviving and having more children increases, strengthening the species' evolutionary advantage. This creates what could be called a skipped generation effect. Of course, with advancements in medicine and technology, humans now experience less pressure to survive, extending our lifespans even further. Naturally, this has led to our growing fascination with immortality. However, no matter what, the selfish gene theory, which suggests that species exist to reproduce, and once they do, their mission is complete, ultimately reveals the evolutionary purposelessness of long life. From an evolutionary perspective, death serves a fundamental function by promoting genetic diversity and adaptation. The death of individuals allows resources to be passed on to new generations, ensuring the spread of adaptive genes through natural selection. This enables species to adapt to environmental changes and survive in the long run. Death, as part of the life cycle, plays a crucial role in the evolutionary progress of species and the renewal of genetic material. We witness the process leading to death step by step through age-related diseases. This includes the loss of telomere function, which prevents chromosomes from protecting themselves, DNA damage, and cellular aging. But in simple terms, we can say this: we need to die. There is no natural advantage to the alternative. We need to die because death is not an end, but a beginning. Without death, there would be no space for new generations, no birth of new ideas, and evolution would come to a halt. But does this mean we should simply accept death? What if our belief in the inevitability of death is nothing more than an illusion? What if our bodies are mortal, but there is another path for our minds? Perhaps the real question is this: is immortality truly possible, or have we simply not yet fully understood the meaning of death? For a long time, our focus has been on extending lifespan and slowing down the effects of aging. Research in genetics, molecular biology, biogerontology, and regenerative medicine is exploring various approaches, including DNA repair, preserving telomere length, slowing cellular aging, reducing chronic inflammation, and optimizing metabolism. Yet at this moment, immortality remains technically impossible. Throughout history, those who pursued this dream focused on halting biological aging, regenerating cells and organs, and sustaining bodily functions through artificial organs and tissue engineering. However, this pursuit is filled with countless failures. Take, for example, Qin Shi Huang. China's first emperor drank elixirs prepared by alchemists, containing high levels of mercury in hopes of achieving eternal life. Ironically, these elixirs caused mercury poisoning, ultimately leading to his death. Yet in this new era, humanity seems to have revived this dream once again, and this time, it appears to have found its answer in completely abandoning the aging body. Yes, we are talking about transferring consciousness to digital form. It remains an extremely distant and speculative idea. However, even the mere possibility has excited many futurists. In the end, death is a difficult concept to accept, especially for a species like ours that possesses self-awareness. But when we stop seeing ourselves as separate from nature and recognize that we are part of this cycle, it becomes somewhat more acceptable. We will die so that new generations can flourish. That is why, instead of chasing physical immortality, perhaps the more meaningful path is to build a better future for the next generations and leave behind a lasting legacy for the benefit of all. That, in a way, is a form of immortality in itself. So what do you think? You can share your thoughts on this topic in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned. You can support my channel by liking and commenting on my content. Until we meet again.